Yeah, nice to see you. Welcome.
Nice to see you. How you doing?
Good.
Awesome.
Good. Yeah.
Awesome.
Excited to be here. This is fun. Feels kind of normal, right?
You know, it does. I was trying to help.
No, no. I would wait. So what's happening is Chardonnay, and you talk about the Chardonnay, and then you got a little break, and let it then it's Pinot, then it's Pinot. And then when you get Pinot, then yeah. Yeah, it'll be pretty quick. Yeah. And I would say, when you get to the Q&A on the Chardonnay, you might want to start. And then the bubbly after this is over. I'll have if you have time and it'll be yeah.
Brandy just snuck up and stuck that in there. I'm like, and then I need my glasses.
Is this age? Oh, I can't do anything about my glasses.
Yeah.
I know, and I'm pulling them on, pulling them off, I'm losing them everywhere.
I know. I'm like, because I don't need my glasses.
Right.
But this.
Oh, I see. Nice to see you. You look pretty. Cool. I love this color.
It's the sun. Don't look at the sun.
Jeff's like, what are you packing? Like my heels, my dresses, because we're gonna go out somewhere else besides Tahoe. Good for you, though. That's cool. But then I was like, thought we were gonna be gone for like 4 days, I got 2 bucks.
Oh, I can't, don't look at the lights. Can I have your attention? Can I have your attention? Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the Grapeful Giving Wine Tasting. This is a hybrid event. In a few minutes, we will welcome our remote participants. We have about 30 people in person, and we also have about 30 people joining us remotely who have their wine and cheese at home and will be joining it. For those that don't know me, I am Nancy Harrison. I am the Executive Director of the LTCC Foundation. We want to thank Integral Networks, who is the sponsor of this event. And so this evening, Casey will talk about the wine, and then you will have a chance to ask questions. If you have questions about the wine, good ones, we want good ones. If you have a question about the wine, raise your hand, because we want to get the microphone in your hand, because then the Zoom participants can hear you as well. The Zoom participants will have an opportunity to ask questions too. We will be able to see them on the screen, so kind of fun that we're all interactive. And that's it. Are we at 5? We're almost there. So we're going to welcome the Zoom participants, and then I'm going to go through a little bit of welcome information and introductions, and then Casey will start talking to us about the wine. We asked too that, so the cameras are in the middle of the room, so we ask that as much as possible that during the event you don't walk in front of the cameras. We will have a break after the Chardonnay. We do have wine on this side of the room, so if you would like to join us on this side of the room, you will have a chance to refill your glass of wine if you finish what's in your glass now. Because it's important to keep your wine glass filled. We're gonna make sure we do that for you this evening. Okay, we're good. We're going hybrid. Thank you so much for joining us for Grapeful Giving, our first hybrid wine tasting event. I am Nancy Harrison. I am the Executive Director of the LTCC Foundation. We have 34 guests joining us in person who have all complied with LTCC safe gathering requirements and provided proof of vaccination. We have 100% vaccinated participants in the room. Thank you. Yes. We have about the same number joining us remotely, including a group of 10 from Rockland from our event sponsor, Integral Networks. Thank you so much to Brian and Christy. Our intent for this evening is to share Casey DeFranco and her excellent wine knowledge, have some fun drinking wine together, and we're also going to share some student stories and how your support is changing their lives and helping them achieve their dreams. This event is made possible thanks to the LTCC Foundation, and please welcome the Foundation Board President, Adele Lucas.
Good evening. I would also like to welcome and thank you for attending this evening. We are truly grateful for each of our donors and appreciate you all. We are so blessed to have Casey DeFranco here to share this wine experience with all of us. I know you will enjoy it, and please have some fun.
Thank you, Adele. And this evening, we are so fortunate to have both Jeff and Casey DeFranco with us to taste some wine. Jeff is the LTCC president, and in his words, he is the comic relief this evening. Casey wears many hats, including business and culinary instructor here at LTCC. She is a banker, real estate agent, mom, and most important, a certified sommelier. Casey will share notes about the wine, then you will have an opportunity to ask questions. For those of you at home joining us remotely, you can use the chat feature on Zoom to ask questions, and then you can also raise your hand, and then we will have you join us live on screen, and we can see and hear you asking your question. So raise your hand, and then we'll do that after Casey shares the information on the wine. Between wines, we'll have an opportunity to hear from students, some stories, and you will have an opportunity to donate to support students. Please welcome Jeff and Casey DeFranco.
All right, so we begin?
We begin.
We begin.
I'll just say one thing, just thank you for everyone for attending. It's so great to have so many donors and supporters here. A lot of familiar faces, but also a couple new faces. And I think it's really exciting to actually have a sense of normalness here again. It's been a while since we've been able to come together and gather, and it's great to have all of you. And a special shout out to everyone out there on the live stream. And again, a thank you to our colleagues and partners at Integral Networks for sponsoring this event. And I'm here like you just to learn a little bit more about wine. So I'll introduce kind of our main host for the evening, my wife, Casey DeFranco. So Casey, go ahead and take it away.
All right, thank you everyone. So for those of you that are here and online here, I chose to do Oregon wine tonight because I just think that's something that needs to be addressed because it's one of the best wine regions in the world, right? And many of you don't know that, but this is a Napa girl, moved to Oregon for a little while, and I learned so much about the Oregon wine industry, and I just really want to bring it to you and promote it. So a little Oregon wine history, right? Oregon has been attracting adventurists for many moons. We had Lois and Clark, we have David Lett, who I'll talk about in a minute, and we had Jeff and Casey DeFranco, right? So what drove us there is the bountiful land, the seas, the rivers, all things that Jeff and I love, and that probably Lois and Clark love, maybe not so much at times, but they loved it too. So it drew us to that land. And of course, the Oregon Ducks. Go Ducks. They're playing right now. So, so fast forward. So 1960 happens, right? And that gentleman's name, David Lett, because you know who Lois and Clark are and Jeff and Casey are. So let's talk about David. So David decides to, he belongs to this vineyard, owns this vineyard called Inri Vineyards. And he decides that he's gonna plant some Pinot Noir. And he plants his Pinot Noir, and by like 1965, he actually has a good harvest. So he's producing this wine. He says, gosh, people around the world need to know that Oregon exists. And so what does he do? He kind of follows suit from what California did. He enters a competition in France. The French has a different name for it, but basically it translates to the Wine Olympics. He enters this Pinot in the Wine Olympics in 1979, and he gets third place. Wow, incredible, right? So all of a sudden, people are like, "Where is this Oregon place? My goodness, let's."
I think they were saying, "Where is Oregon?"
Oregon, yes. Let's get more information on it. So then they decided to redo the competition in 1980, and his winery moves up to second place. And this is on a worldly basis, folks. So we're producing some of the Pinots that are getting second place in the world. And so all of a sudden, Oregon's on the map. And all these young winemakers are looking at it and they're thinking, gosh, I need to go up there and get a piece of that pie. And so they head up there and, it starts booming. It's going crazy. And so everyone's like, gosh, the wine industry started in 1960 in Oregon. No, that is incorrect. It started in 1930. In fact, the oldest bonded winery, it's number 42, is called Honeywell, and it's out of Roseburg, out of all places. But so it became known in 1960, but it's been around since just after Prohibition. So 1930s, right? And a fun fact, which I love fun facts, and I am a wine nerd and I can talk fun facts about wine all day long. In fact, I know Nancy had to sit with me and Tony at one point, and Jeff's like, you guys are just nerding out about wine. And I was like, yes, we do that. So a fun fact. So Willamette Valley, Oregon, is where majority of the wine is made, all right, in Oregon. And when I moved up there, I called it the Willamette Valley. And everyone looked at me like, Willamette? And I was
Quickly
like,
knew she was from California.
yes. Red flag, red flag. And so I learned it was Willamette right off the bat. And I learned that, you know, there's like two like invisible bands that kind of go around the world, right? And these bands are like where the wine regions are. It's 30 to 50 degrees south of the equator and 30 to 50 degrees north of the equator. And this is where all the wine is made in the world, on these bands, right? Oregon sits about 45 degrees latitude. And so its partners in crime across the world are Côte d'Aron, which is in France, which makes amazing wine, and the Piemonte, which is in Italy. And so they have great cousins. And so you got to figure, like, if Côte d'Aron knows what they're doing and Piedmont knows what they're doing, Oregon must know what they're doing. And so this drew all this flavor and love into the Oregon atmosphere. And this brings me to our Chardonnay tonight. Jeffrey. See, I say Jeffrey and he fills up my glass. It's great. That was in my wedding vows. So we're drinking a 2019 Chardonnay tonight. And this Chardonnay is special because Jeff may or may not remember, but we actually went to the grand opening of the restaurant here in 2006 when we lived in Eugene, Oregon. So King Estate, beautiful winery. It's been around since 1991, right? This is a very small production of Chardonnay. It's a limited production. 2019, so let's think about 2019. So I was trying to remember what was going on at that time, right? And what was going on was we had about 6 years of dry weather, and every Oregonian was complaining that we didn't have enough rain. And here I am from California thinking, my gosh, this place has so much rain, holy cow. And they were just saying, no, it doesn't have rain. In 2019, this broke, and we had the rainiest winter ever in Oregon, right? And they called it a normal weather pattern. So they were able to make this beautiful Chardonnay that really emulated what Oregon's all about, all right? Jeffrey, do you have any funny jokes to talk about? Your comic relief. He told me to give him some time to tell his jokes. So.
I like to like slip them in more on the natural. I will say King Estates. So we didn't live in Oregon in 2019, but we've obviously have visited and spent a lot of time there since we did live there. I did spend my 30th birthday party at this winery, and I do remember that. But just the thing about the Willamette Valley is it's just so many mountainscapes and river valleys go into it, so many nutrients in the soil, just beautiful, luscious green. And so I think one thing that's unique about the Willamette Valley, you just go out and you see wineries as far as I could see, but then also beyond it, just greenery, right? Very different than maybe visiting some of the wineries that we have here in California.
Absolutely. So King Estate, 1991, a fairly new winery. Ed King created it and brought it to it. Ed used to be, I met Ed Jr., and he was telling me that his grandfather was actually a Navy electrician, and so he would go into like the Navy airplanes and stuff and create the electricity for it in World War II, and then he decided to go ahead and drink some wine and create some wine, and then it kind of passed down from generation to generation. So he made this great Oregon Chardonnay, and let's go ahead and taste it. So, for those of you that have tasted with me before, I'm a very easy-going taster, but some things you want to look at. You want to make sure nothing's floating in your glass, and if it is, I'm sorry, just don't say anything. You want to make sure nothing's floating there, right? It looks very typical of an Oregon Chardonnay or a Chardonnay in general, okay? The other thing you want to do is, right off the bat, I just want everybody to stick their nose deep into that glass, and I'm not talking like this. Don't be polite about it. Stick it deep into that glass. And think about what you smell right now. And it's okay to say, Casey, I smell like nothing. I smell grapes. That's great, It's okay, because we're gonna go explore a little bit more. So think about what you smell right now, okay? And I'm just giving you the quick 5 S's on a quick landscape here. And then you wanna give it a little swirl. And if you are standing, then feel free to go ahead and swirl it, freestanding. If you need a table, then go ahead and put these 2 fingers across your stem and give it a good swirl as well, okay? And when you swirl it, you want to see, we all heard legs. I remember my grandmother used to tell me, oh, if the wine has legs, then it's a good wine. Well, that's not true, Grandma. You know, I learned that, but that's a lot of like an urban wine myth is what I like to say. What those legs dripping down that glass tell you is the viscosity of the wine. It's when alcohol hits the air in the wine. And so what I teach here at the college when I teach my students is we go through several different wines throughout the term, and I teach them to like start to acknowledge what a 13.5 looks like, what a 14 looks like, what a 12 looks like, so on and so forth. So the slower it drips, the more alcohol it has, okay? So this wine is a 13.9, okay? So I just want, for your knowledge, just go ahead and look at those legs
A
coming down.
13.9 alcohol.
Alcohol level.
Okay.
Alcohol level, all right? And that's gonna do the trick, right? That'll do the trick. So you gotta think like, hey, this could be a great wine with food or without food, but if it has a higher alcohol level, then you probably want a little food with it, right? Which we have some food here for our participants tonight. So 13.9 alcohol level, and once you, now I want everyone to swirl it again. Swirl, 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 and stick your nose back in there. And think about what you smell now versus what you smelled before. Are there any smells that are the same? Are there any new ones? Because that second swirl, what you did is you expanded the aroma. You added air into your wine and you aerated it. So remember those little aeration things that, it's a novelty. You like stick it over your glass and you pour the wine in and it goes psh, and it like runs air through your wine and it ends up in your glass. Those are so fun, but guess what, folks? You're not gonna have those at restaurants or at your friend's house all the time. But you have 2 hands, and all that does is this, several times, okay? So feel free to expand those aromas as much as you want. Jeff loves to swirl his wine. I taught him how, and now you'll see him in public, and he can't stop swirling his wine. He loves it. He loves it.
When you're married to a sommelier, you become a little bit of a wine enthusiast. And I like to believe that I actually get a little more enthusiastic the more wine I drink. And so the swirling just continues and increases throughout the night.
It does. On his shirts too. So after you swirled and you think about what those aromas that you smelled at home, so let's talk about a few. So this wine's super fun. Right off the bat, I had some lemon peel that came through. That was my first smell. The second smell, I had some caramel that came through, which was really nice in the Chardonnay. I love that. I also had a little bit of like an orange come through, but it was like we just got back from Florida, so it was more like a really light orange, but it was like an orange blossom, okay? An orange blossom came through, which was really great as well. So think about that. If I put a few thoughts in your head, great. Go ahead and think about that, what you tasted, and let's go ahead and taste some wine. Cheers. So really, really nice light oak. I feel like Chardonnay's got such a bad reputation, like in the late 70s, because everyone was over oaking their Chardonnays. Now, I wasn't drinking wine quite yet in the 1970s, but close enough. But they over oaked the Chardonnays, and it made people not like Chardonnay. So we've all been to the movies before, I think, right? That's definitely before COVID, but we've all tasted the buttered popcorn at the movies, right? So you don't want to taste that in your Chardonnay. You don't want that false oak in your wine, okay? What they do is they add a little malolactic acid, like a generic version, which wine actually makes itself, but they'll add more to get it out to market. And they think that, at the time, they thought like, oh, oak and Chardonnay is a great thing, let's do this. So they over oak the heck out of these wines and just ruin the wine itself. So this is really nice because this oak is just very light. It's just a very light French oak that comes through, 100% Chardonnay in this bottle. You have a nice little acid level. So acid, how can you tell acids in your wine? Well, guess what? There is a way. Not by taste, it's by your saliva. So if you drink the wine, about 15 seconds later, your salivary glands start overproducing and you're just like, swallowing a lot. That means there's lots of acid present in wine. And in all Oregon wine, it's cold up there for us Californians, right? It's cold. I mean, not as cold as Tahoe, but a different kind of cold, a wet cold. So all the grapes don't come quite to maturity, but they come to maturity enough where the acid doesn't overtake it, but it is high acid wines in Oregon, okay? So our salivary glands are working overtime in this wine, all right? Which is great. I love it. It's great. It's refreshing. Jeff, what would you cook me with this wine?
Well, Chardonnay, the thing I know about Chardonnay is that typically it's a great hot weather wine. Like I know whenever we travel somewhere hot weather, that Casey's gonna want a cold Chardonnay or cool Chardonnay. Outside. In an early afternoon, it's a first bottle of wine, right? This is not a late night bottle of wine. This is $5.50 right now. Like it's perfect time to have a Chardonnay. And
notice how he said cool, not cold. I actually like my Chardonnays a little warmer. I like them almost at room temperature, a slight bit cooler, just because if your wine is too cold, you don't get the full flavor profile of it. So at restaurants, they serve it ice cold, typically because they don't want you to taste it. All right, that's the house wine, all right? That's the house wine. So feel free to use your built-in wine warmers, which is this, and warm up that wine, okay? And that's when you can actually taste it. So yes, he is trained really well, folks, to know that I don't like my wine cold, I like it cool. And never put your Chardonnay in an ice bucket, just put it on the table, okay? It'll get way too cold. Anything else, Jeffrey?
I got nothing else.
All right. Do we need to talk more about the Chardonnay, Nancy, or are we ready to roll to the next?
We can do questions?
Sure.
Yes, let's do questions.
Does anyone in the room? Oh, I see a raised hand. Aaron McMean has a question. Handing out the microphone. Doctor.
Everybody relax, it's a real question. So Casey, you mentioned 13.9% alcohol in this one. What's a standard range for Chardonnays, like in the difference between California and Oregon?
So domestic versus old world, Aaron, is where I'm going to direct your question to. So the highest alcohol level a wine can biologically change to is 16.5. So if you ever see a wine above 16.5, it is known as a fortified wine, which means alcohol was added, right? In our old world wine, which is France and Spain, who've been making this wine since, the Dark Ages, before the Dark Ages, actually, their wines are going to be a little bit lower in alcohol. You're going to have more of your 13s in their wines. In California and Oregon, we like to get the job done, so we are more high. We're like 13.9s to 14.5s.
Thank you. Our next question is from LTCC Foundation Board member, Mr. Leon Malmed.
Great.
I don't remember the question, but it's okay. It is my understanding that red wine, 7 years is good. How about, is there a timing for a Chardonnay?
Raging it.
Anytime's a good time for a Chardonnay, Leon. So great question. So it all depends on how you store it. So I've had some 1980 Chardonnay, which actually developed really nicely, more like a honeysuckle type thing, but it depends on how you store it. Now, white wine is not meant to age a long time, but if you store it correctly, you can. You can definitely age it. I would recommend 4 years max for your Chardonnays. But if you store it right, it does change, and Jeff and I had like this beautiful champagne, which was made from the Chardonnay grape, and it was from the 80s, and it was so rich that you basically had to sip on it very slowly and thick as well. It's more syrupy, so keep that in mind as well.
Thank you, Casey. Anyone else in the room have a question? trying to avoid the lights so I can see and not be blinded. Any other questions from in the room? And then do we have any remote participants with questions?
Gosh, you guys
No.
are making my job
Oh, no.
very
We
easy.
have no remote, no bold remote participants. Okay, so we are now going to hear from some students, and for our, oh, I have to stand. I was in the wrong. I have to go towards
Go
the
to the
light.
light.
Go
Go to the
towards
light.
the light. Stand in the light. For our in-person attendees, wine tasters, remember that there is food here for you. Make sure you are tasting the food as well. So please help yourself to the food. We are now going to hear from some students. And first, we're going to hear from Alize Hernandez. She was a South Tahoe High School graduate, and she just recently graduated from LTCC. She was a Promise participant. And then we're going to also see Mari Hernandez, who is also an LTCC graduate and is now at UC Davis. You'll see a great interaction between her and Jeff DeFranco. We are very proud of her. She wants to return to Tahoe and be a history teacher at the high school. So please enjoy these student stories.
Hi, my name's Alize Hernandez. I graduated South Tahoe High School in 2019 and started at LTCC that fall. I chose to go to LTCC because I heard of their Promise program offering 3 free years of college, and since I am the one funding my college education, I thought start here, hometown, and transfer to a 4-year. So being a first generation, I didn't have anyone to go to in my family that went to college. So having the Promise program and their peer navigators helped me navigate through my first year of college was very important. In the beginning, I had trouble choosing what classes to take and knowing which ones to take. So I went to Julie Booth and she directed me to Christy, and we got a plan figured out for the 2 years that I was going to be attending LTCC. Not only did Christy help me pick out the classes I needed to take, but she also made sure they were transferable so that when I go to a 4-year college, I would be on track as well. I'm very fortunate to have received scholarships, and those scholarships helped me a lot by buying material for school and helping me save up for when I do transfer to a 4-year. My goal is to have a bachelor's of science in nursing and hopefully become a labor and delivery nurse.
Hello, I'm Mariela Jimenez Cardenas, and I served as LTCC's Student Senate President during the 2020-2021 school year. My role consisted of attending meetings, putting together agendas, and really getting a sense of what our campus atmosphere was like. I definitely did not expect to get so much out of it as I did. I liked having a voice within those meetings. I really liked being a part of what was being done and what was being said on campus. COVID, I know, was a hard time, not just for me, but I know that a lot of our students had similar issues that I did. Being completely online definitely was not the easiest thing that we all had to do. I mean, for me at least, it sounded really easy, and then it really was not. It was really mentally draining. So I totally get where other students are coming from, because it really is. It's mentally draining, it's mentally exhausting. And by the end of the year, you're just so excited that it's over. Going into LTCC, I had no idea what I wanted to do. Like, I knew what I wanted to study, but I'm like, how do I get there? So it was so helpful having these counselors like Christy. She's my girl. She helped me get through the whole thing, like step by step. This is what you need to do. These are the classes you need to take. I got to make so many friends. Like, I got to make friends not only with my classmates, but I also got to make friends with administrators, which was really fun. Yeah, the relationships that you get to build at LTCC are definitely one and only opportunities. Like they're so personal and they don't feel forced, which is always really nice. So it feels like you genuinely have these people that care about you. So that's another thing that I love about LTCC. My parents are two immigrants who have worked minimum wage jobs their entire life. So getting me through college has definitely been a giant worry in their life, a giant worry in my life. So through LTCC, I've gotten a lot of financial aid. I've gotten scholarships, I've gotten stuff from FAFSA, which has been so helpful. If it wasn't for LTCC, I definitely could not have been able to work myself up here. Well, I am currently at UC Davis thanks to LTCC. So I'm going to pursue my bachelor's degree in history for my master's degree. And I'm going to do my teaching credential at the same time. So hopefully I'll be able to go into public education within the next couple of years. I really want to be a high school teacher, by the way.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, talk about it.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Oh, we are hanging in there. Cool. So has your term started?
No, we start next week.
You're feeling ready to go, ready to start the term, fully prepared?
Yeah, excited. Yeah, for sure.
You feel like LTCC put you in a good place to be ready?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I feel like everyone's exaggerating about how hard like UC Davis is. Maybe I'm crazy, but I don't know. LTCC is kind of hard sometimes. So I think I should be fine.
I think you'll be well prepared. Good.
Yeah.
Good. Cool. Well, hey, I just want to personally thank you for this past year. It was great. You're an important voice for students. I definitely appreciated our time together, our lunches together. It gave me some good insight and also awesome graduation speech. It was so fun to be with you. And I know you also stepped up a lot as a student leader and the city council debate and all those different things. So I don't know if you know this, but we actually have this thing called the President Service Award at LTCC. Mm-hmm. And it's an award that I'm able to give to a handful of students who not only are great students, but also kind of go above and beyond to helping the institution through their service. And I actually want to let you know that you're going to be one of our recipients for this year. So congratulations on that. And guess what? Also great news. It comes with a $2,000 scholarship check.
Oh my God, Jeff! Oh my God, you're gonna make me cry.
So I wanted to be able to put this in your hand. Here, let me hand it to you virtually. But we'll drop it in the mail. Drop it in the mail to you. It's with the fire and everything. I'm bummed we didn't get to see each other in person, but totally understood. But
I'm literally gonna cry.
So well, that's okay. So we wanted to thank you for everything you did, and hopefully this will give you a little boost to, ensure you get through UC Davis and get that degree and make us proud.
Oh my God. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. You guys have done so much for me, not only on an individual level, but you guys have done so much for me. The campus has been one of the most supportive environments I've ever had to be in, and thank you guys so much. I can't tell you how grateful I am for that.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. It's our pleasure. Happy to support you. And I know you have big plans beyond that bachelor's degree. You're going to have a lot of schooling ahead. So you're going to need all the scholarship money you can get. $2,000!
$2,000!
No, super fun. Great to see you. Super glad to give you this chat. You're top of our list. Top of our list for deserving recipients.
Thank you.
So
just thank you so very much for everything that you've done for me. Seriously, thank you so much.
Of course. Mara, you make this job worth doing.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, I'm gonna close the screen before I start crying.
Okay, stop. Okay, yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, hey, good to see you. Good luck. I'm sure you'll need it. All right.
Okay, that's good.
Bye, Maury.
Bye.
Hello, and thanks for joining me, Nancy Harrison, Executive Director of the Lake Tahoe Community College Foundation, for our December update. Thank you to all who supported the Equity Food Pantry on Giving Tuesday and brought perishable and non-perishable food items,
Okay, you get me
hygiene
live.
supplies, and school supplies for students in need. If you still have items to donate, the pantry accepts donations during normal college hours, Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Campus will be closed from December 18th through January 2nd for the holidays. The mission of the foundation is to work for educational excellence by assisting and encouraging investment in the development and growth of educational opportunities at Lake Tahoe Community College. Your donations to the foundation support students through programs including the Lake Tahoe College Promise, Student Success Grants, and the Emergency Book Fund. Recently, the foundation awarded $15,000 in student success grants to faculty and staff for equipment, field trips, and trainings to help students in their pursuit of a degree. Projects funded include 2 career exploration workshops for our science students, field trips to national parks for earth and environmental science students, stress relief equipment for the Disability Resource Center, and dental hygiene supplies for the dual enrollment program. South Tahoe High School students enrolled in the dual enrollment dental assistant program will visit each elementary school and train the students on how to properly clean their teeth and leave each student with their own toothbrush, floss, and toothpaste. If you would like to make a year-end donation to support LTCC students in their pursuit of a degree, you can donate online at ltcc.edu/donate or mail a check to the LTCC Foundation at 1 College Drive, South Lake Tahoe, California, 96150. Wishing you a very merry holiday season and the best for a happy new year from the LTCC Foundation. I will be back in January 2022.
Thank you so much. We hope you found our student stories inspiring. We know many of these students, and it is so inspiring for us to know them and see them move on and be at UC Davis for Mari, and that she wants to return to LTCC and teach here in her hometown. If you want to donate and help students, the Promise program, which provides free tuition for our Tahoe Basin High School graduates, information is on the screen. Also at home, you have a QR code that you can use to donate. We support the Promise program. We have student success grants and an emergency book fund that helps our students reach graduation. And now we are moving on to a Pinot and back to Casey and Jeff.
My favorite wine varietals. You notice the Pinot, it's a 2018. It's a little bit younger, right? Like with the Pinot, you want to lie it down, you want to give it time. And I think something common that most of us all know is that wine gets better with age, right? Most people are familiar with that. Wine gets better with age, yeah? Can I get something from the audience? Anyone? Wine gets better with age? Okay. Well, one thing that I like to say is that donors get better with wine. So we're going to keep the wine flowing because we know that opens up the checkbooks. So I want to make sure that everyone's doing their fair share of drinking. With that, I'll hand it off to Casey for the content.
Jeffrey.
Oh, that means pour.
So do you want
It's years of behavioral impact. The one thing I will note is, for those of you at home, you notice that this is a screw top. And it used to be common myth that if it was a screw top, it was a cheap wine. But in fact, a screw top could be very effective, right? In cases like this, it's efficient, right? Easy to open. If you're traveling and you don't have a wine opener with you, very nice. And also, there is a global cork shortage. And so cork is actually a resource that is in high demand. And so many wineries are going to screw tops as a more sustainable practice. So I guess my takeaway for you is a screw top does not necessarily mean a cheap wine. In many cases, it just means a very efficient wine. So, Casey, with that, I'll hand it to you.
He's absolutely right. And this cork shortage has been around for a long time. So much that when we got married, it was like I found the winery that had a cork tree where we got married under, and I started crying because I was like, this is so special. This is not going to be here for, in like 30 years. But I'm sure I think actually it might be. I think it may have burned down actually in the last fire. But let's talk about Pinot. All right, Pinot's more exciting. So oftentimes I get asked, hey, Casey, what's your favorite wine? And I used to give the generic response like, oh, it depends on what I'm eating. It depends on what I'm drinking. It depends on what the weather is, all things that are very important to how I choose my wine. But really, as like our friends at Cork & More can tell you, like when I go in to pick a bottle of wine just to drink, I always pick a Pinot. And why? Because Pinot Noir is the most complex wine out there. They often call it the heartbreak grape because many winemakers spend their whole lives trying to perfect this grape. If the Pinot Noir was compared to like an animal that's going through like climate change, it'd be like the polar bear because it likes not too hot, not too cold, but just right. It has to have its environment. Who else does that remind
The
you of?
polar bear or Goldilocks?
Goldilocks. That's who it also reminds
Which
you
was
of.
once Casey's Halloween costume, for the
Yeah.
record.
So polar bear, Goldilocks, our spaces are getting limited. And so back about, when I was like in my mid-20s, I remember I was a corporate banker for a lot of the wineries in Napa Valley. And I was talking to one of my vintners, and he was telling me that he was having a really hard time trying to find a winemaker because all the winemakers were pushing into Oregon because that was the environment that Pinot thrives in. And so he was having a really hard time trying to figure out to recruit a winemaker to make his wine for him. So this brings us to Oregon Pinots, okay? Amazing. We have this cool weather climate. It's, again, not too hot, not too cold, just right for our Pinots to thrive. And this brings me to the 2018 Montemor that you were all drinking. I found out from the rep here that it was like a relationship between Montana and Oregon, which I thought was really cool. So that's how you say Montemor. But let's talk about this. So it's 100% Pinot Noir grape, right? Pinot Noir, the grape is very thin skin, and they come tightly, closely bundled. So it almost looks like, we all know here in Tahoe what a pine cone looks like. That's what the Pinot Noir grape cluster looks like. It looks like a pine cone. They're so tightly woven. So with that, they are very susceptible to fungus, to mold. So if any abnormal weather comes through, those are the first to go. So it takes so much effort to bring this grape, to vinify it, and to create a beautiful wine. And we all remember the movie Sideways, right? All right.
Who's seen Sideways? We got some Sideways fans here, yep.
So
May have introduced you to Pinot.
this is what created the Pinot craze, right? The movie Sideways, a Hollywood movie, basically sparked this cult-like Pinot craze around the world and inflated the price of Pinot really high. And guess what it did to Merlot? Brought down the Merlot market, right? This is what Hollywood does. And to be honest, they didn't know what they were talking about. They did not, because Merlot is great. So here I am in Hollywood trying to promote Merlot. Drink Merlot, it's wonderful. But I love Pinot more. So, so let's talk about this Pinot in particular. Willamette Valley, this winery has been around since 1982, all right? They are sustainable and biodynamic. Gosh, I've been talking about biodynamic, but you guys may not know what biodynamic is. So what I say is C, okay? So that's how you're gonna, it's spiritual, it's ethical, and ecological, okay? So basically the vineyard and everything that's associated with the vineyard works as one organism, meaning that they bring everything together. So there's no pesticides, there's no miracle grow, all right? There is the animals that are on the land fertilize the grapes. and the runoff water is reused to come on back to the grapes. It is amazing, folks. And all 3 wines that we have tonight, well, 2 for our online, and then we have a special one for those that are here, but they are all biodynamic and certified organic. This particular wine is also live, which means it's live certified, which means they socially responsible as well, so they donate a lot back to the community as well, which is a hard certificate. There's only about 300 live certificates for vineyards, and this is one of them. So I have a lot of love. A little history on this particular wine. The grandparents grew wine in Italy, in northern Italy. They passed it on to their son. Their son came to Oregon, decided, hey, Piedmont, this is kind of on the same lateral as Piedmont. No, he didn't say that, but I'm telling you that. Let's start growing here. He planted Pinot. Let's go through it. All right. So right off the bat, in our glass, we're going to see that this wine is lighter in color. You can almost see through it, right? So we know it's not a cab, and you guys know it's a Pinot. But if you weren't blind tasting this, that would be definitely like, hey, this is not a cab because it's a little lighter in color, okay? There's nothing floating in it. Your glasses are polished. I did polished all your glasses before we came. Actually, Jeff did. So he said he was the comic relief, but he doesn't know about me. I'm really the funny one. All right. So, any funny jokes?
Well, I don't have any funny jokes, but I do have a story. So we love Pinot in our house, right? You heard from Casey that she loves Pinot. So one night we were drinking this beautiful Pinot Noir from the Northwest. It was very earthy. And she said to me, she said, I love you so much, I don't think I could live without you. And I looked at her and I said, is that you or the wine talking? And she looked at me straight faced and she said, that's me talking to the wine. Ba-dum boom. Been saving that one all night.
True story, true story. So heartbreak grape, hard, really thin-skinned grapes, so there's not a lot of tannins that are present. Tannins, we talked about acid, but let's talk about tannins. How do you taste tannins in a wine? So here's everyone's homework assignment. I want you to go to the grocery store and buy some grapes. Don't just take one off the grocery store thing, buy the whole bundle, okay? That's my, what is it called when you, I don't know.
No grazing.
No grazing, right? That's my, when you don't want to get arrested for something, you know. So anyhow, you peel the skin off these grapes, okay? Just the skin. I don't want you to take the flesh. Chew on that skin. What that's going to do is dry out your mouth. It's going to take all that saliva out of your mouth, okay? And if it does, that is tannins. So if a wine takes all the saliva out of your mouth, then the wine has tannins in it, and it is known as a tannic wine, okay? So with that said, Pinot Noir, thin-skinned grape, doesn't have a lot of tannins because tannins are found in the skins, the seeds, and the stems of grapes, all right? Pinot Noir doesn't have that, so it's not going to be mouth drying. It's going to be low in tannins, all right? So we'll look at this. Nothing floating. Our glasses are great. All right, let's go ahead. Don't swirl yet. I see you over there. All right, stick your nose in that wine. First smell, a lot of black cherry in there. There's some forest floor that comes through. A little leather that comes through. What do you smell, Jeff?
I stirred it accidentally.
Oh.
It's just a habit. I'm a wine enthusiast.
Told you, he swirls all day long, folks. All right. There's even a little cola in there, which is really nice. Like, yeah, I said cola, like Coca-Cola, right? There's a little cola that comes through in there as well. Great. All right, let's go ahead and give it a swirl. We're looking at the viscosity, which is those legs, okay? We're looking to see how the alcohol reacts to it. They're a little bit less than the last wine, so these are 13.5. And it's hard to tell with all these lights in here, folks, so the best way to do it at home is like put a piece of paper behind your wine glass if you're at home, and you can see the legs a little bit better. But yeah, 13.5, so still pretty typical for a Pinot Noir. Excellent. All right, let's give it another swirl. And then let's dip our nose right back into that glass. Ooh, some new smells come through. Some leather. Oh, so there's some cinnamon, which is really pleasant. I really like the cinnamon. Usually cinnamon always comes from like Monterey wines, but it's very present in this as well. Oh, so good. All right, so I'm gonna like this wine, I know, because it passed the first 4 S's. And for those of you that are here and at home, there's 5 S's. You see, smell, swirl, smell, and sip, okay? So we are on the sipping part, so go ahead and give another swirl before we sip. Think about what smells that you smelled and that were predominant to you, all right? And let's taste it. So you might see me on film here, and those are there. I am doing this weird motion like, that's called a swizzle. And basically it's doing this in your mouth. So you're coating your palate, you're giving it air in your mouth so you can really have all those flavors come through. It's kind of like a reverse whistle. And I don't know if swizzle is like patented, but it's what I say. All right, so
It's a technical term.
it's coated my mouth. It's very Burgundian. What is Burgundian? My gosh. So Burgundian is wines that are typical in Burgundy. So Pinot is the main red wine of Burgundy, France. Okay, Bourgogne, same thing. All right. So if it says red wine from Burgundy or red wine from Bourgogne, you are drinking a Pinot Noir, all right? If it says white wine from Bourgogne, you are drinking a Chardonnay, all right? That's how they label them, all right? If they don't say Pinot or Chardonnay. So Pinot and Chardonnays always grow together, no matter what. They like each other. In fact, Chardonnay is like Pinot's baby. Pinot got together with a grape called Guac Blanc and had Chardonnay. So they're all descendants of each other. So they're all related. So they grow well together. So wherever you find Pinot, you're going to find Chardonnay, no matter what. All right. Taste. Let me do this again. So I have some black cherry that comes through. That cola really comes through. That cola comes through so nice. Leather, cinnamon comes
Maybe a
through
little
really
plum.
nice.
Plum.
Oh, yeah, I would say dried plum, right?
I read it on the bottle. That's a wine tasting tip, right? If you're pouring the bottle, you read it, and it says, with notes of ripe bean cherries, plum, and chocolate, with an array of wild berries. You go ahead and read that and pour to your guests, and you kind of do the swizzle, and then you say plum. So that's for all you beginners. That's something I picked up myself.
But what's funny is like, I challenge all my students. I say, what stage is that plum in? Is it like on the tree? Is it tart plum? Is it ripe plum? And that's why I said dried plum. I really pick up a lot of dried plum in this.
I would agree. You also agree
I
with
also
the song.
trained him how to say that. I agree. So anyhow, so it's a very nice Burgundian style. So in California, a lot of times we do a lot of fruit-forward Pinots, fruit bombs, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna have wines that basically put a fruit, that's the first taste you're gonna smell and taste in your mouth is fruit. In Burgundy, it's more earth tones, like mushrooms and forest floor and like dirt. I always say I really like my wines dirty. You know, I want to like act like I'm licking the floor, and that's true. Like I really like dirty wines. I know it's gross, but it's good, right? Just like Sauvignon Blanc has like, in Old World Sauvignon Blanc, the main smell is cat pee. And I tell my students like, hey, like, do you like the smell of cat pee and licking the floor? And they're like, what class am I in? I'm like, you are in Old World wines, right? So Oregon really has adopted the Burgundian style, so they're gonna have a lot of those forest floor, those mushrooms, those licking the floor dirty. Even you can smell some socks in there sometimes.
So I have a tip on this. So again, for kind of, you got your kind of expert wine drinker and your beginning to intermediate wine drinker. So if you ever out at a restaurant, you're looking at a wine list, it's like 50 bottles long, and you're trying to figure out what to drink, right? And so I know I love an earthy Pinot. So I'll ask the waiter potentially which of these Pinots are earthy. They may or may not know the answer. You'll quickly figure that out. But if not, then I start looking to Oregon or Monterey, places that are known for bringing out earthy wines. And then I'll look at the years. It's very common with Pinots. Like you'll see now here in 2021, you'll see some Pinots that are 2019, 2018, 2017. 2019 is going to be young. So I'm always looking, I know with a Pinot it needs a little more time. So I could kind of, not knowing nearly as much as Casey, if I'm with her, she's ordering the wine. But if I'm without her, and people think I know a lot about wine because I'm married to her.
He takes a picture and sends it to me.
Wait, that's my secret trick. Don't give that away. If I'm with her and she's not responding to her text, I work my way down the menu. I'm looking for a good Pinot, and I look for an Oregon or a Monterey, and I look maybe for a 2017. And typically that will give me a good option, right? So those are some tools you could use when you don't have the full expertise. You kind of narrow down a little, use a little deductive reasoning to get there. Or text your wife.
So yes, we love Pinots. They're near and dear to our heart. I think we can open it up to questions about this wine or Pinot in general, or anything. Nancy loves this Pinot so much.
I like the Pinot. I will admit. I like the Pinot.
Yes, you do.
Keep it positive. I know we have questions from our in person, John McLaughlin. Wait,
Let's
hold
get
on.
you the microphone.
You need the microphone.
Ciao, bella. So we have a wine club. It's called Papa Pietro Perry, and our favorite Pinot there, it's called a 777 clone.
Uh-huh.
And I don't fully understand the cloning aspect of it.
So, Pinot has 50 different clones, okay? 50. To put it in perspective, Cabernet has 25 different clones, all right? This particular wine has 3 different clones in it, right? So what clones the winemaker uses is never disclosed because of competition, right? They all want to keep it like hush hush. So what they're telling you is there's probably like an equal amount of each 3 different clones in that wine. I'm guessing here, all right? But that's what I'm guessing that it is, like equal percentages of 3 different clones
So
in that wine.
is the clone like you would think it's cloning into like the root, or?
So fun fact, another fun fact. So back when we had the glassy winged sharpshooter that basically devastated the wine world across the entire world except for like Chile and Australia, right?
This was an insect or something?
This was an insect. It's
Okay.
a louse, okay? And what this louse did is it attacked the rootstock of all of our grapes. So like we didn't know what to do with it, right? It devastated the world. And so like winemakers from France were treating Australia and Chile, trying to that was the only place that wasn't affected by this glassy winged sharpshooter. And so what they found out is that this glassy winged sharpshooter did not like California rootstock. It did not attack the California rootstock. So what they did is they took the California rootstock and they grafted the European and every other grape onto the California rootstock. So around the world, it's actually California rootstock with different graftings on top of it, which saved the wine. California saved the wine industry, which is so awesome.
Hey,
right?
California! Hey!
So that's what's on there. So clones. All right. So just like COVID, it mutates, right? So like Pinot mutated, and guess what it did? It created Pinot Grigio, right? A color mutation. So it created Chardonnay. It mutates. So that's what it does. And so we have all these different clones that are some are like better in heat, some are better in cold, some are more flavorful, some are more deep in color. So whatever the winemaker is going for, they will choose which clone represents that. Like if my Pinot was pale, then I would choose like a Dijon clone, which is gives it more color, you know. So it's like a recipe, like cooking chili, you know. I put everything in that chili until it tastes right. That's how wine Pinot is, like any wine really. So I hope that answers your question. Does it, John? Okay.
One follow-up, Casey.
Yes.
I'm sorry. What year did the bug get to all the vine roots? The
So
louse?
it was like 1980s, that
Okay.
1990s, 1980s. So
That's so interesting.
Yes,
Okay.
and so growing up in Napa, like it was like I remember hearing about this, and there's been like sightings of this louse like here and there, but like we have found a way around it, or an organic way with that, without pesticides. But at the time we couldn't fight it, and so it was devastating. It was ruining the world's wine industry. So we had prohibition, and then we had this louse, and it was like double whammy, you know. So
We got some Zoom questions. I'm hoping for some Zoom questions tonight.
We have some Zoom questions from Katie.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Nancy.
Hi,
Hey! Cheers to you guys.
Katie. Katie from Barton.
I love you guys too.
Cheers.
All right. Cheers. This has been such a fun event. I really hope you guys will do this more often. I love this. I see Nick is on the screen and he's shaking his head with a big yes. So he likes this too. This is so much fun. Awesome. Hey, my question is,
Wait,
so
you have a question? You got a question?
I do, not
I thought you were
just
just
showing up and saying hi.
Go ahead with the question.
All right, so you had an amazing answer about talking about in our glass what legs are, but I also hear the term sheets. So when I'm tasting wine, what's the difference between sheets and legs?
Sheets.
Sheets.
Have you ever heard that term?
I have not heard that term, Katie. So I
Oh my
cannot
God, maybe
answer that question.
I guess I need to stop using that term.
I'll put it out there in the audience. Has anybody heard that term sheets? Katie, actually, I think I have heard that term. So now I think about it. So sheets are like when, you know, like the legs are like singular and the sheets of wine connect, right? And they come down the glass. So sometimes it just takes like, you know, you think about all the wine talk you've had like over the years. So the sheets of legs are the same thing as viscosity. And Katie, I'll get your, I'm sure Jeff has your info too, but if I'm wrong here, I'll text you and let you know. But this is just coming from what I think it is, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
So sheets are just how the legs connect, rather than if it's a sheet of wine, it's gonna have more alcohol, versus if it's singular legs coming down, then it's gonna have less alcohol.
Well, I just want to say thank you, because this is a term I heard long time ago. I think actually from my dad.
Okay.
So probably not the best source.
It's okay. No, I hear that all the time. I think Nancy actually has a funny story that when she took my class, and Nancy, would you remember this? This just popped in my head. So she went to a family dinner and we were talking about meritage, right? And so I told her like the difference between meritage versus meritage. Well, meritage is how you pronounce it, not meritage, because it's a merriment of two heritages. And so she had a family member that challenged her and actually said, you know, your wine teacher is wrong. And they looked it up and he was wrong. And so she like brought
Don't
it back
question
to
the
me.
wine teacher or the foundation
And
director,
she
in my
goes-
experience.
And Nancy goes, it was so great because I was right. And I was like, yes, you know, that's a win for us. So yeah, no, like we love that kind of stuff. And even, you know, I grew up with like my mom drinking like, you know, white Zin, telling me like this is the best wine on earth. And now like, I'm like, friends don't let friends drink white Zin. We don't do it. We don't do that, right? So like, this is how it's important, like with education and knowledge, to like prove our past generations like wine myths wrong.
Well, I love it. Thank you so much. And this has, again, been an amazing, fun night. Cheers to you guys, and cheers to LTCC.
Cheers, Katie. Thank you for joining us. And we have, thank you, Casey. And then we now have a question from Leslie, who's joining us remotely.
Great. Hi, Leslie.
Hello, everyone. Hi. It is exciting to be here in my own home and drinking wine. So thank you very much for that. And my question, Casey, is I always understood that you wouldn't mix wines within maybe the same event. And is that true, or is it okay since we're wine tasting like this evening that we would do such a thing?
That is completely untrue. You always want to mix wines, okay? So you always want to mix wines. So when I host dinners and when I host my own dinners even, I like to mix wines. So I always like to start off with like a sparkling, a Prosecco, like a palate cleanser, and then you can pair your wines with different courses. So then I go to the whites, and then I go to the reds. What you don't want to mix is like you don't want to start off with like a Barolo or a heavy wine and then go to a white wine because it just like mixes up everything. But mixing wines is not like mixing alcohol. Like you don't want to take a shot of vodka and then drink wine all night, right? So you want to keep it like from your whites to your reds, right? Your lighter wines to your heavier wines.
And I got an addition on this. This is a Jeff DeFranco special. So definitely light wines to dark wines, but I also prefer to drink the expensive wines early in the night when I can fully enjoy them. And then I also like to lock the wine cabinet at a certain hour so the expensive wines don't come out. And still working on that invention, but that's just a personal tip. But I mean, you want to drink the expensive wine when you can fully enjoy it, right?
Yes, absolutely. That's a very
While you remember it.
Yes, you can mix wines, no problem.
Before the next morning.
As long as you're in the right order. Light to dark or expensive to cheap.
But you can
Thank you so much.
You can always end the night with a sparkling wine. Sparkling is like a wine that you can drink in celebration and you can drink it in defeat, right? So
it's a utility player of wines.
It is. And you can drink it in the beginning or you drink it at the end. It's really like a great little wine. So sparkling and champagne.
I learned something new. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Leslie. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Great to see you.
So fun.
We have a question now from Carol, who is joining us remotely.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Carol.
Hi, Carol.
Oh,
whoa, look at that wine selection. Whoa. Just go ahead and put your... Woo.
Carol, I feel like I cannot answer your...
Carol,
Can we all come over?
Oh, it's getting hot over here.
What's your... Carol, I feel like I need to do I can't answer your question right now. I need to do our visit.
No problem. Come on over.
Chat box.
Because I think that you have a Bella Glass there at the bottom there. I see that.
Yep.
Yeah, yep, all right.
So my question, happy holidays, everybody. My question is, what is the vintner's last name on the Montegnore?
The vintner's last name?
Marchese.
Yes.
Rudy Marchese.
Oh, darn. I thought maybe it was Monte because my family's from Northern Italy. So I thought maybe
Rudy Marchese.
Monte. So I thought maybe that there was some kind of connection there, but guess not.
Darn it.
No.
Do you want to tell us
By the
something
way,
about that
the
wall
wine
while we
rack-
have you?
Yeah.
You want to show anything off? Take me down a
The
favorite bottle.
wine
Let's see
rack,
it.
the wine rack was made by my husband.
I love it. Nice work.
Yep, and it's a 105-year-old recycled barn wood that we went to an old barn and ripped it off with crowbars, and then he built this. So
No daylight on that, right? No daylight hits it? The wine rack?
no, not really. No.
Good.
I love it. It's so beautiful.
Thank
And
you.
it's a great backdrop for Zoom.
What about iNet?
Especially for this.
iNet on the
Right?
phone? iNet? Internet
Nice
network?
work. Nice work, husband.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, not good for the business meetings though. Not good for the business meetings though.
Yes, no. Or it could be.
Wait, is that a virtual background?
No.
Any other
Thank you
questions,
very
Carol?
much for the info. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate you guys. We've done this before. We love it. And
Coming.
thank you to taking the time to help out here. We really appreciate it.
Cheers, Carol. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And yes, we're going to share your address.
After party at Carol's house.
At Carol's house.
After party at Carol's house. She said we can drink whatever we want.
We have another question from a remote wine taster, and this is Lisa Heward, who is one of our local seroptimists, and we're so excited to have Lisa here. She's always fun. Welcome, Lisa.
Well, hello there.
Lisa.
This is my first time. Jeff, I got a phone call into you, bud, but thank you for the entertainment tonight.
Yeah, good.
Casey, you're gorgeous besides knowledgeable.
Oh, hey.
Absolutely.
You can stay on here. Just stay on
Oh,
here
yeah.
for the rest of the night.
No.
Come on.
Really want to get you into our club because I'm thinking more, gosh, our mornings would be so delightful in the morning with more wine. But no, we just kind of wanted your phone number so we could text you in the middle of a wine emergency in a restaurant.
Absolutely. I have no problem. You really want it?
Yes, but I can get it. I can get it from Jeff.
530.
Who's writing this down? Wait, we don't have a pen. We only have glasses
I
of
have
wine.
my students text me all the time
It's
about
true.
wines and everything. So
They're in the grocery store setting pictures.
yes. So 530-208-7779.
Oh, Lordy, she really did give it to us. I didn't even write it down, but I'll get it.
208.
I might show up.
But I
She
will
gave me my
tell you,
number.
thank you for doing this for LTCC. We have many of us online tonight and in the audience used to take classes in the weirdest of places in Lake Tahoe. I mean, I remember still where, the Barton Attic is now. I remember taking a yoga class in there with my nose into that awful carpet that was there. But our college is just phenomenal, and the community support has been phenomenal, and it has just grown so much. So I'm just so glad we got a twofer when we got Jeff in the community. So thank you very much, and thanks for helping to raise all this money for our kids. So yay.
Cheers in the back.
Cheers, Lisa. Thank you.
Miss you, Nance.
Miss you too. See you soon.
You will.
I got a wine tip when you're ready.
Oh, Jeff has a wine tip. Let's hear it.
Again, another beginner to intermediate wine tip. So, if you're opening a bottle of wine to have one glass, I recommend pouring the glass and immediately closing the wine up, right? Because that's your best chance of the wine lasting the next day and the day after. But if you're gonna drink the bottle, get that off of there, pour it in a decanter, get in your glasses, let it breathe, right? So if it's the two of us, we're gonna, and it's a weekend, we're gonna, I almost said weeknight. Did I say weeknight?
Any night. Any night.
If it's a board meeting night. If it's a weekend, get in a decanter, let that thing breathe. But if it's Casey, just having a glass of wine for dinner Tuesday night, get that thing sealed up right away so it's good for the next night. So that's just a little tip that, especially those of you that are home, maybe you're wine tasting by yourself, you got your big bottle, get that cap on if you want to save it for tomorrow night. So again, the basic information comes from here. All the detailed information comes from there.
Thanksgiving story.
The Thanksgiving story?
So I told Jeff to tell him the Thanksgiving story.
Wait, are we sure we're going to tell this story?
Yeah.
I'm not even sure what story's coming. It just makes me nervous.
So I had an uncle who passed, and he left me some wine. And
his
main instructions was, hey, don't save this wine because I saved it and it was too late for me. And he passed from cancer. And so he sent me up some bottles of wine. And so it was Thanksgiving, and I woke up, and it was like 8 o'clock in the morning. And I'm sitting there in the kitchen, I'm decanting this like 1975 Pinot, and Jeff walks in, he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm getting the wine ready for a Thanksgiving dinner. He's like, Casey, most people get the turkey ready.
It's like my mom came over and she's like, oh, what have you been working on? And he's like, well, I've been decanting the wine. It's been decanting all day. It's been about 5.5 hours now. It's about ready.
Because it was the older
The older it is, the more it needs to decant.
The more it needs to decant.
It needs that oxygen, right? It's been oxygen deprived for a long time.
Yes, and it was a beautiful wine.
It was a beautiful wine.
And we enjoyed it thoroughly. So.
Do we have any other questions?
Any other questions?
What about the
live?
Integral Networks
Great.
team? Are you out there, Integral Networks?
Integral
I want to hear a
Networks.
question from them. I know you got a 10-pack of people.
I know. I texted them and then I put my phone's in my pocket. I can't keep track of all these things. Brian did not answer, so I think they just want to
They just want to watch from the back. Okay.
enjoy their wine.
How about
and
here in
rough
live?
it.
Any questions about Pinot, Chardonnay?
I mean, this Pinot's getting
So,
better, right? Is it getting
Here's
better?
a question, like what would
More
you
air?
guys serve with Pinot Noir? What kind of food would you serve with Pinot Noir? Pinot is one of those wines that you can serve just about anything. I love salmon with Pinot. Jeff, what do you love?
Yeah, I'm a fan of that.
Well, what else?
I like everything with Pinot. Like the problem is like I know there's certain things you're supposed to drink, like maybe a bolder wine with the red meat. But for me, if Pinot's on the menu, I'm selecting it.
You don't want a food that outdoes your Pinot. You want your Pinot or your wine and your food to balance out perfectly. So you don't want to be able to be like, oh, I only taste a steak. You know, you want to be able to taste both your wine and your food at the same time. So oftentimes, like when I host a dinner party, I always like to say, like, what wine am I going to serve? And then I choose what food I'm going to serve. Because, you know, Pinot is one of those ones that can go with lighter, like chicken and fish, and it can go well with lamb, it can go well with steak, it can go well with just about anything. And it's really like a gateway wine to like higher level wines like Barolo and Barbaresco and Brunellos that you can intertwine into your meals and make it like its own course. So risotto is wonderful with it as well, with even like truffle oil, it's beautiful with it as well.
That's good.
All right.
All right.
Any other questions? Nance?
Any other questions in the room? We've got the Integral Networks group jumped up to 12 people, so their party grew.
Oh, good.
I love it. To see if they want to join us. So we are enjoying wine and having fun, but the purpose of this is our students. So we want to show a few more student videos. We have one from Bruno Macias, who is a Whittel graduate. He now is in his second year at Lake Tahoe Community College. And just very inspiring story that he's excited that he's getting his degree from LTCC and will move on without debt. We've got a couple other students we'll hear from. We're going to pull it back together at the end and have a last chance to check in with our remote guests and opportunity for questions from Jeff and Casey. And then we will end the remote portion of the evening.
All right.
So please hear from our students.
Get your wine and food.
My name is Bruno Macias, and I am a second year over at LTCC, and I am currently in my business major. So LTCC was appealing to me because it was quite close to where I lived, but also at the same time, the Promise program was the main reason why I went, where I could come here for 2 years, tuition free. I also came to the realization and the harsh reality that college is expensive, and I knew that if I went straight into university that I would easily get myself into debt, and plus there really wasn't anything for me in terms of my college savings from my own family. So I figured that I needed to approach it a smart way, and LTCC gave me every incentive to do that. I would say the peer mentorship has helped me a bit, you know, just to get acclimated over here at LTCC, because I know that being a first year over at the college, it was something that was quite nerve-wracking, and also there was a lot to get used to, and I'm glad that Promise was there to help me out with it in my first steps in being at LTCC. With the scholarships I applied for, both the Cliff and the Halden scholarships, they helped me out in terms of kind of taking the pressure of textbook costs at LTCC, because sometimes there will be some courses where there won't be textbook free, and it is good to know that I have something there that I could use to pay for the textbooks, but also I have been mainly using it to save for the time once I get up to university, because I know that the majority of the money will be spent towards there.
Promise is really beneficial to first-time students because they get to receive free tuition, they get the help from a peer navigator to kind of show them around the campus and give them insights on different courses and instructors. They also get book cards and vouchers from the bookstore and just free fun events and priority book lending and registration, just all of the benefits to help you succeed.
My first year without the program, I totally would just come to class and then go back home and not really get involved in any of the events or like try making friends or anything. And so with the program, it definitely inspired me to reach out more and just talk to more people.
Being a part of the Promise program is the reason I'm here today. It's funded my way through college, it's paid for all of my books and supplies, and it's helped support me and make decisions towards my career path. I couldn't be here today without the Promise program.
Being a part of the Promise program here at LTCC, it really helped me just for the sake of I wasn't even planning on going to college. I mean, I did have some push from family that I was fighting against, and I knew that it was going to cost money, and I knew that it was going to be time that I just wouldn't have been able to put out, but as soon as I was given that opportunity, and my fiance was given that opportunity as well, it made it to where everything was as easy as I could have imagined.
Being a part of the LTCC Promise program has helped me graduate with a degree in liberal arts debt-free.
My experience in the Promise program at LTCC helped me get good grades, stayed on top of my classwork, and graduated debt-free.
Being a part of the Promise program here at LTCC has helped me stay on track on all my courses and has also helped me feel like I belong somewhere here at LTCC. And that's why I think you should join this program.
Being a part of the Promise program was great because I got to be a mentor to my fellow students and I get to graduate debt-free with 2 degrees.
The Promise program here at LTCC has helped me graduate debt-free, has given me free textbooks, which has been really helpful, and the counseling has been fantastic.
Thank you so much for listening to our students. And Celeste, who you just heard from, is still working on campus. She is a Promise navigator, so she is helping new students in the program, and we have a lot of first-generation college students, so they really appreciate that help from the peer navigators, from fellow students who help them get through college when they don't have family members who have had similar experiences. Donation information is on the screen, so we appreciate your support and helping more of our local students to attend college and earn their degree. We're going to open it up to a final wine tasting questions, and I think we are going to have our sponsors, Integral Networks, have a group of 12 in Rockland.
Oh, yeah.
That they are going to join us. Brian, you and your group ready to say hello and talk wine?
Well, we're here, Nancy. Thank you.
Hey!
Sorry, my glass is a little empty right now, but maybe somebody back there will take care of that for us. Oh, can you not hear me?
Yeah, no, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. I'm like, wait a minute, as the computer guy, what did I do wrong here, right?
You get the award for the largest virtual wine tasting group.
Awesome.
There's a prize for that.
Is that okay? Good. I'll talk to Nancy on Monday.
Good. Any questions? Any wine questions about tonight? Any questions in
Anybody
the
have-
field?
I don't think there's any questions from my group. We've been listening. I mean, it doesn't really sound like it, but we've been listening to everything that Casey's been saying, and yeah, it's been really great. Thank you.
It's so great to see you guys.
You too, Casey.
Thank you for introducing us to Oregon.
Yeah, thanks.
Well,
Yeah, you enjoyed your trip to Oregon, right? It's a
Yes, we
visit
did.
to Oregon. You didn't even need to get on a plane. You didn't need to drive up the I-5. You just got a little taste of Oregon.
It's perfect. I sleep in my own bed tonight.
Perfect. Well, thank you for your support, and good to see the wine tasting group, one of our virtual friends out there.
Yes, no, thank you for allowing us to be a part of it. Really appreciate it, guys.
We really appreciate you.
All
Cheers.
right. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you so much, Brian, and the Integral Networks team. We really appreciate it.
Welcome. Thank you.
So we are,
So Nancy, like that, we had a champagne cork pop, right? So I don't have a bottle here to show you, but champagne is actually, and sparkling, is typically made from Pinot Noir and Chardonnay grapes, right? It takes 6 turns to get the cage off, no matter where you are. If it's a cava, if it's an Aussie, 6 turns to get that cork off, right? And when that cork comes off, you want to make it either super loud and spray it everywhere, right?
If you just won the NBA championship or something.
Or if you're in a professional setting and like at a restaurant, you want to create that cork to have the very lightest of sounds. So it could be either or. Again, a universal way to drink champagne or sparkling.
Yeah, most folks that you see folks are popping the champagne and spraying it everywhere, but actually to enjoy the champagne or the bubbles, the sparkling at its best, you want to get that cork off as silent as possible, as silent and gracefully as possible, and that's actually going to allow your champagne to pour better.
Or sparkling.
Or you're sparkling. So if you won the NBA championship, spray that thing all over and put on your goggles. But if you're trying to enjoy a beautiful bottle of champagne or sparkling, you want to get that cork off nice and quiet. All right, any final questions from the field?
Any final questions?
Any wine questions that you've just been
Brandy's
wanting
raising
to
her
know?
hand. Oh, she needs the mic.
Is $2 Chuck really bad? Should I leave that at grocery outlet, or is like my $5 wine like okay?
Okay, so it's really a couple questions there. So
It's going to take a lot to unpack that.
which I love. So often I get asked like, hey, is there a difference between cheap wine and expensive wine? And yes, absolutely there is. Is there a difference between Picasso and Bed Bath & Beyond art? Absolutely, right? So when you have like your $2 Chuck, what they're aiming for is they're aiming for quantity over quality. When you're having your, what is it?
Some of those Prosecco's, like cupcake?
No.
Okay.
When you're having
Bad
like,
metaphor, apparently.
When you're having your Sainsbury Pinot Noir, that's more expensive, like $50, $40 to $50 a bottle. They're actually taking a lot of time to make that piece of art, right? Because every bottle is unique and an art in itself. So $2 Chuck, they have these machines running through the vineyards, right? They're machines, and they are taking the grapes, they're taking the stems, they're breaking the grapes, they're getting all the bugs, they're getting everything that's on that vine, and they're just like creating a fermentation process early that is not controlled. Whereas you have these people who are hand picking the grapes, gently putting, well, kind of gently, but gently enough that they don't break, the grape doesn't break, into the bins, and controlling the fermentation process from step 1 to step 20, right? So
the harvesting of the grapes, right, can be very
everything.
expensive or automated.
Yes.
And that makes a huge difference in the quality of the wine, but also the expense of the wine.
And then you go on further. So their goal at $2 Chuck is to get this out to market so they can sell it And so they dose all these wines with all these chemicals to create this false taste in your wine that tastes like wine and gives you a headache,
Yes.
but is not a natural fermentation process. So I can't tell you how many friends of mine say oh, I do everything organic, and then they buy a $3 bottle of wine. I'm like, no, that's not organic. You have every chemical in your wine that's creating this non-controlled environment with lots of pesticides and terrible stuff in your bottle. So you got to really be careful. If you want to have that $3 bottle of wine, you got to be aware that it's going to have pesticides and it's going to have chemicals in it, as opposed to your higher end wines, which don't have that in it. So, great question. And then the second part of that was grocery outlet. Grocery outlet is great. I mean, I obviously...
That was not the answer you were expecting, huh?
But here's the thing. I buy all my wines from Corkamore here in town. And the reason I buy from Corkamore... The reason I buy them from Corkamore is because the staff is knowledgeable. The majority of the staff have taken my classes. They're local, number 2, right? They control their wine environment. I know that their wine isn't exposed to heat or light. They don't have wine that I can buy at a grocery store. They have unique single vineyard wineries that are amazing, and that we need to really support those small businesses and that creativity, right? And the fact that it's Carla and Jeff's store is just amazing, and they support the college and they support the students, so we should really always buy our wine at Corkamore.
But the answer you're not expecting is if you really know your wine, every now and again you could find a couple gems at a grocery store.
But not domestic. Don't buy any domestic wines from grocery outlet.
Yeah.
Always buy international, because
Every now and again, accidentally, just because too much quantity, a quality wine will show up there. But you got to really know your stuff there. You're better off going to Corkamore and just asking them.
So international. So you can find. So what happens at grocery outlet is that wines that have been through something are there. Okay. So typically the international wines. The international wines, the reason why they're there is because people don't know how to read the label, and so they don't know what they're drinking, and so they're there. But domestically, they could have been exposed to heat, they could have fallen off the bed of a truck, and who knows. But I can tell you that I called a friend of mine who has a Sauvignon Blanc, and I saw it at grocery outlet, and I called her and I said, hey, your wine's here at grocery outlet. Do you want me to buy the cases of it? Because this is a Sauvignon Blanc, and if you're familiar with Sauvignon Blanc, it's about $15 a bottle, but her Sauvignon Blanc is $35 to $40 a bottle. And so I called her. I'm like, hey, it's sold for $3.99 at grocery outlet. And I'm like, do you want me to buy it? She's like, no, just call all your wine friends and tell them to buy it. So I did, and then I got home and I opened it up, and it was like, bleh. I was like, this is the worst wine ever. And so I called her back. I'm like, hey, this has been exposed to heat, and it tastes terrible. She goes, please go and buy the rest of that wine. And so I did. I went and bought the rest of the wine. I threw it out, and then she replaced it, which was great, with good stuff. But it was just international, there's a reason why it's there. Domestic is because it got exposed to something. Okay?
We actually saw a bottle.
You need a microphone.
Oh.
No.
No, you don't get you don't get the microphone for that question. You're cut off from the microphone for that
I'm vetoing my
question.
husband's question. Wives have veto power, and I'm taking it.
I want to hear it.
No, I know what you're going to ask. I think he's going to maybe share that there was a Corkamore wine. Oh, there was a Corkamore wine that was on the shelves at grocery outlet, but something could have happened. Oh, no, all right, fine. I'll give my husband the microphone.
I wouldn't go that far. No, we got a bottle of wine at grocery outlet that was, we know. And it had actually a sticker. This bottle of wine has been in a train crash.
Yeah.
No, so it actually had a sticker on it that said it. So it warned you that it was on there.
It was heated. Yeah.
Well, it just said
how was it?
How
was it? Was it good?
It was fine, but
there you go.
They went through a train wreck, so they were
So
preparing
you can find some gems, but you got to know what you're looking for.
You can find train wrecks at Grocery Outlet. Tony Sears has a question. I'm handing off the mic.
So this question is actually for Mr. DeFranco.
Oh, okay.
Jeff, Casey mentioned that the reason the international wines at Grocery Outlet are a good find is because people don't know how to read the labels for Old Country wines. Can you make a recommendation as to the best thing that Tahoe locals can do to learn how to read Old World wines?
Well, you could take the Wines of the World class if you want.
Is there a reputable teacher for that?
There is a reputable teacher. There are 4 classes. There's 5? Intro to Wines, Wines of California, Wines of the World, and Food and Wine.
And cheese and wine.
And also Cheese and Wine, little side class. But any of those classes, Intro to Wine will get you off on the right foot. But if you want to get those international wines, you want to know how to hawk Grocery Outlet, you got to do that Wines of the World class. Because then you need to start learning your French and your Italian to be able to decipher those labels. And we offer those here at LTCC Wednesday nights. So.
Or have me over for dinner. I love food.
And wine.
And wine.
So Katie, who joined us remotely earlier, asked a follow-up question. Okay. Which wine class, are you offering a wine class for winter quarter, which starts in January?
It is, actually, it's my favorite wine class, which is international wine, so Wines of the World. And it is amazing because we do have some great wines, so.
And is it enhanced special education? Is it fully synchronous Zoom?
It's all Zoom because it's winter and there's snow. And so what is great is Carla and Jeff over at Corcomore, they give you guys the discount so that they give the college. And so you can go buy a bottle of wine and enroll and share it with a friend and take my class. And we just meet Wednesday nights from like 6 to 7:30. And we talk about wines, and I have all the stuff online so you can copy it and whatever, share it with your friends, say like, this is what I learned, but it's fun. It's really been working, and it's been great. Obviously, I love to meet with everyone in person, but this is a great little course, and it doesn't give me stress to have people drive home.
So registration's open now. Wednesday nights, Wines of the World Winter Quarter starts the week of January 3rd through the end of March. Wednesday nights, it's all virtual on Zoom. Pretty much like this, except she could see you, answer your questions, kind of like we did on the screen here. So that's in winter quarter, and then of course we do that again in spring. All right, any other questions, final thoughts? Oh, there's our friends. Look at all our Zoom friends.
So we're gonna turn it over to Jeff and Casey to close the night and do some final wine and student comments. And thanks to all our virtual remote wine tasters. It was fun having you with us.
I love it. Well, thank you everyone for giving me the opportunity to teach you a little bit about wine. If you ever want to call me, you all have my phone number now. We can nerd out about wine all day long. I love it. So, and even if you're just excited about the bottle that's, like you're drinking, please let me know, because I really like to hear about people drinking wine. And the whole point of my career of a sommelier is really just to get other people to buy my wine for me. So. But no, really. Just thank you for the opportunity to give you a little bit of what I'm thinking, because Jeff gets sick of hearing me talk about wine, and but thank you. That's all.
Great. Well, I just want to thank everyone for attending here in person and everyone for joining us on the Zoom. Some final thoughts. I know we spent a lot of time tonight talking about wine, drinking wine, joking about wine. But really what's great about tonight is it's all about raising money for our students here at Lake Tahoe Community College. I want to let you know that reinforce that the foundation does a lot of important work in support of our students. This year we had the Student Caldor Fire Relief Fund that helped many of our students that were displaced due to evacuation and had, maybe weren't working during the evacuation to kind of get back and get to school. So that was something the foundation supported. We continue to support our Promise program, which is providing students the ability to earn their degree tuition free, as well as get a lot of other supports. And these students are persisting, meaning sticking with their classes from term to term and succeeding in their courses and their graduation rates at levels that are not seen with any other students on campus and throughout the California system. So your support's making a huge difference. You've also supported student success grants, which really allow our faculty to innovate and provide unique opportunities, experiences, equipment, work shadowing, things of the such for our students. So I just want to let you know that your generosity is making a difference for our college. And it's great to get together with all of you tonight, physically, but also virtually, and enjoy some wine and have some fun. But at the end of the day, I want to remind everyone this is, we are grateful for your Grapeful experience here and your support of our students. And like I said, a fine wine gets better with age, and donors get better with wine. And so if you are if you are feeling compelled right now, feel free to reach out to Nancy, get online, support the foundation, and help this community continue to grow and enhance. So thank you everyone for joining us tonight. It's been our pleasure. We hope to do this again. No.
Go Ducks! Go Ducks!
All right, thank you. We're down like by 3 touchdowns.